dollar, that's what I need. Hey, hey, well, I need a dollar, that's what I need. Hey, hey, said I need a dollar, that's what I need.
Here we are, week 22, saving by the numbers. Let's get down to the business of handling business. There's something very important that I wanted to talk to you about. Probably should have talked to you about beforehand. Oh yeah, by the way, this is still $8 May. This is the last Friday in $8 May. Have your $8 for those folks that are still saving along. We'll do the tallies at the end of how much money is supposed to be, what and where, and all that stuff. But anyway, I digress from that conversation. Anyway, back to what I'm really here to talk about in these last couple of minutes. Saving money is a key, is a major key, if you want to do things, if you want to prosper and do all that stuff. And thank you for those people who've been listening for these whole 22 weeks, with all snafus and everything. But one of the major things that I need to talk about when it comes to saving money is that you need to learn how to say no. Say no to people that want to borrow money from you. Especially when it's not something that's crucial. It's not something that's an emergency. Because sometimes people believe that when you save money or that you have money, that it's for their emergencies and not yours. Or it's for their life and not yours. Or, they have things that they want to do and they have dreams, and your savings or your money to the side is funding, whatever it is that they're trying to do. And, like I said, unfortunately, that's not the case. If anything, just like I save money, you can save money too, especially if you have a job and you have the means and you have the ability to do it. Now, there's a difference if somebody needs help and maybe you're disabled or you're going through something or you went through real hardships. I'm not saying anything against that. You can help people, where it needs to be helped. There's nothing wrong with charitable giving. Definitely, we need more charitable giving. Maybe I need to speak about that, moving forward. But as it pertains to people borrowing money, if you're gonna lend people money, make sure that you understand what it's for. Don't just frivolously give people money and throw it out there just because they want it or they need it or they give you a sob story. Because Lord knows everybody has a story. Lord knows everybody got a story. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes you can't let people pull at your heartstrings and basically, usurp your emotions to the point where, you're constantly giving and you're constantly, feeding other people but starving yourself. Because, like I said, it's nothing wrong with giving to people, but if you can't take care of yourself, if you don't feed yourself and you starve yourself, how can you help anybody else? It's like when they said you're on an airplane, and there's a turbulence or there's an emergency and they have the oxygen bags that come down. They said if you're there with your child and your child passes out and the oxygen bags come down, and said you put your oxygen bag on first and you get yourself some oxygen, so then you can put the oxygen bag on your child or your loved one and save the loved one, because if you don't save yourself first, then you can't save anybody else. So that's being said to say that if you don't put your money together, if you don't save up your money, if you don't put your finances in order, you can't really help other people out the way that you would like to. Because let's say you go belly up, and you're not afloat. How can you put somebody else in your yacht, your boat, or bring them to safety if you're out there, up the creek without a paddle yourself? So the thing is to be smart, to be wise about it, to be judicious, to understand, when somebody is really being sincere, and you ask them questions, you figure out, what do they need the money for? Do you have the possibility of paying it back? If you can't pay it back, then, what are you going to do to better yourself? Learning these different things. How are you going to get yourself out of a hole? Is it just you lending people money and lending people money? Because if that's the case, then you'll never be able to save up money for emergencies and do the things that you need to do. And if you can't do that for yourself, then you really can't do it for anybody else. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with lending people money. But if you do lend out money to people, you want to make sure it's people that can pay it back. You want to make sure it's somebody that's responsible. Unless you're really just giving to charity, because many times I've given family members money that they said they was going to pay back, and you find yourself just giving it away to a charity, just being nice and kind. I remember one time with a family member, I was basically telling them that you're not going to pay me this money back that I'm giving you. And the family member, which will remain nameless, was trying to argue me down over how they were going to give me this money back. And I told them, look, this isn't even a loan. This is just a gift. Happy birthday, Merry Christmas, whatever you want to call it. But for the most part, you want to really just be mindful of the fact that sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you have to turn people away. Sometimes you have to be, cognizant of the fact that, you're enabling people. Sometimes we enable people, just because, they are family members or friends or somebody that we care about. And, sometimes saying no, it may hurt. But in the long run, it's about teaching people to be independent within themselves, not to be so dependent or, feeling so free willing to use you, and your finances and to take away from you, especially if you got a family, especially if you got responsibilities and things that you're trying to take care of, because it matters what happens in your life. It matters that you're able to stay afloat. It matters that you're able to feed yourself and do what you got to do. If not, how could you help anybody else? You know what I'm saying? But thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Yep.